that, and I hope and pray that stays the case for you and your family. And so we are recording right now. It is February the 24th. I hope everybody had a good Tuesday. That's something that we were blessed to have experienced that not many other people will, and you know, it'll be once in a lifetime thing. So that was great. I see some awesome smiling babies in there, Miss Wingate. I appreciate you sharing that pretty picture. I love that. I always like to see that. That just brightens my day. Hey, buddy. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and get started. It is MELS 601 clinical coach session. And before we hit record, for those of you watching the recording, had a request that we talk about the difference between literature review and an annotated bibliography. So in a literature review, I'm going to go ahead and start. Well, let's just go ahead and talk about that. A literature review and annotated bibliography is not as prevalent in the APSL as it will be in the APTL. Next semester, when you do the APTL, you will look more towards an annotated bibliography. At this point in the APSL, it's basically an option. I know that it's listed in reference to several places in the Scale Handbook, but the main thing in looking at a PLC research and getting that down pat is a literature review. You're scanning the literature, you're pulling things out. The citations are based on paraphrases or direct quotes, so that you're just pulling the information out, showing in the PLC research that this was what I found relevant in determining how to create a professional learning community. So annotated bibliography is a little bit different in basically how it's formatted within the narrative. Now, annotated bibliography is basically a summarization of some type of research. So you have the listing, the citation at the top, rather than in the reference, and below that is a summarization of that what you researched. So basically, a literature review, you're pulling the information out, you're plugging it into your narrative. If it's a direct quote, APA has some guidance on how to do that. If it's a paraphrase, it has some guidance, and you can go back and refer to that and pull information in and out as you need it within the narrative. Annotated bibliography, you put it on the screen, you give her a summary of that, and then the citation is at the top, and you basically pull out all the information that you wanted to. It's not really a direct quote, but it's just a summary of that document that you found important. There's a little more information on that. Let me do a share here. All right, I got some things pulled up. Where do I want to go? Oh, I'm where I need to be. Cool. I like it when that happens. Okay, so and I have pointed to this before, and you may have all looked at this document, but comparing an annotated bibliography to a literature review, you can read through that. That gives you some more information. But in the APSL, like I said, it's not, you know, and I don't want to contradict anything that Dr. Church may have told you, but in referring to the rubric of the APSL, and I'm going to switch over to that. Are you looking at the APSL right now, or excuse me, the Scale Handbook right now? It should be the document, this right here, Scale Handbook. If you look at APSL task 2 for as far as your, task 1, as far as your research goes, there's no reference to the annotated bibliography within the rubric, and that's what we look at. It's what the evaluator looks at. So have I kind of answered your question, or what you need, or do you need some more?
You have, but we were looking at, I think we were working on task 3.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, task 3.
No, and at the top on the example, it has a small, very small literature review that pulled a few sources and then just talked about best practices. Is that what that's for? And
yeah, and I'm sorry, Jennifer. You know what? I've been reviewing task 1 and task 2 for the last 2 or 3 days and haven't reviewed many task 3, so my mind kind of strayed there. I appreciate you putting me back on track. No, you're great. No, you're not the one that apologized. I'm the one that kind of got off track. Yeah, as you go through those online tools, as you show the best practices, then you go and say, okay, we looked at this, this is where we found it, and this is a summary of what we found as a best practice. Then you go to the next one, this is where it's located, that's where the citation is, and below that is a summary of what you research. So it's not really anything that you have to address in the narrative. It is just a list of best practices, and you present them in an annotated bibliography context. It's where you list the citation, and then you tell a summary of what it is. Does that help?
It does. And the review up above it, though, would be on different sources or those same sources?
Now, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Say that again.
The review up above it, would it be on different sources or the same sources? Because on the my team might need to help me word this a little bit. The way that we looked at it, but above the annotated bibliography, you had the literature review and it was very short.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just research. Do you use those sources that you researched in the bibliography, or is it different ones?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can, absolutely. You can kind of talk about in the literature review, you can pull those out and say this, that's the narrative where you say, okay, this is what the team looked at. This is the conversation that we had about this. This is what the team decided in relation to that. And then you can go through that narrative, and then those same sources. I thought you were saying courses. That's what was throwing me off. The same sources with an S, like Superman.
I'm sorry, I have a cold.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And I have had way too much coffee this afternoon. So you have to bear with me on that too. But those same sources, then you talk about basically what the conversation was within the PLC group. And then those same things you list below. These are the things that we looked at, and this is a summary of what that is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yay, great. Yay, the answer was messed up, but the question was great. So your questions were spot on. My answers were messed up. So thanks for keeping me on track there.
They were wonderful. Thank you.
I think what's a little bit confusing, I guess, to me, because I'm comparing what you have on your screen on the scale handbook compared to what I've printed off on, I don't know exactly what the example maybe. And it says
maybe the helpful hint or the template.
Yeah, and it says that, it's on the template and on the prompt, and it says you will research best practices, create a literature review and annotated bibliography that features descriptions of several best practices and specifically why they were considered. So
yeah,
I look at yours different. So
yeah, well, no, and that's great. And the template and the helpful hint, it does create some discrepancies. I always go to the scale handbook. I didn't create the template or the helpful hints, and it was loaded up in there by the department, just to be another resource for you. I always go back to the scale handbook and what it asks for and what it looks like. But at the end of the day, as long as the information is there, then it's your document, and it can look however you want it to, as long as you address those things. So if I think based on my experiences and the evaluators, the way I laid it out is a good way to show that conversation of your PLC group and to show that discussion. If you want, I think annotated bibliography is just a list of considerations and a summary of the considerations and where you find them. But as we read through your document, if it fits one way and doesn't fit another, I'll certainly give you feedback on that. But that's how I see it, and that's kind of how I coach all the candidates to go through with that. Any other questions? And I'm keep asking them, because so that way make sure we don't create any more confusion or any confusion, and we get everything cleared up. All right, any other questions about task 3, task 4? All right, good. Okay, so let's move on. Actually, we're going to talk about task 5 tonight, and we're going to do, I don't know, do we need to review how to submit things in my Blackboard shell for review and grading? Does that need to be reviewed? Any questions on that? Everybody good about that? Okay, if you're watching the recording and you're still a little confused that I hadn't got anybody to upload their task to the evaluation Dropbox, before they upload it for review. You know, you always upload it for review and then we revise it. And then of course the Dropbox, the evaluation Dropbox is for grade, and that hasn't happened lately. So maybe everybody's good on that. If you have any confusion on how to upload and get feedback, send me an email and let me know. All right, so I'm not going to necessarily do that review, but I do want to talk about Absent Task 5, and we're going to do a task stream overview. Now, you've heard about task stream and, you know, even received some information about that and maybe a little bit of guidance on that. We're going to go over that tonight. I'm going to do an overview. We'll go over it more specifically the next time we meet. This is just kind of let you know kind of what it's for and why it's there. We'll talk about that, but we'll be going over task stream again. Let's see, let's share. And I'm not going to necessarily go into task 5 right yet. Let's talk about, let's go back to the scale handbook. And I had this, I'm going to pull up what I had. We are now in week 7. In the scale handbook, there's basically a little sample of how the latter part of your semester will play out in submitting evidences, submitting your task and your evidences. It is just a sample. You know, it's just kind of laid out what week 9 would look like, 10, 11, 12, what on. I just put that up there to let you know we are in week 7. So we need to be wrapping up task 1 and 2 and having a good start on task 3. Sounds like those of you who are on the coaching session tonight are to that, because you're asking those questions about task 3 and wrapping it up. So we do need to be at that point here pretty soon. You got spring break coming up, Gardner-Webb spring break, so that's a good time to kind of get to that point. But we really need to be finishing up task 1 and task 2 if you haven't already done so, and be well into the way of task 3 over the next couple of weeks, approaching that week 9, week 10. Really need to be pretty solid, have your task 1 and task 2 graded, and be really solid in finishing up task 3 and task 4. I don't give you deadlines on when you have to turn it in to me. You know, you get deadlines from your course instructor. I'm not here to give you deadlines. I'm just here to support you, but I am going to start looking at where you're at in the process. Also, I also look and see who's accessed my Blackboard shell, how much time that they've spent in there, and when's the last time that they accessed. So we're at February the 24th. If I look on in my Blackboard shell and I see that you hadn't accessed my Blackboard shell since you know, January the 18th, I'm probably going to reach out to you and make sure everything's okay. It's not a gotcha. It's just to make sure that you're on track, everything's okay for you to be in good line to finish up the semester. So we'll start doing more of that. You know, I've got several cohorts, and another cohort reached out to a student. They had COVID, and so we talked about that, how that's put them behind, and then we kind of made a plan for where to get them back on track and how I can best support them to do that. Because believe me, life happens. We all know that. You get sick, the family gets sick, God forbid that happens, you know, car trouble, snowing, still possibility of bad weather coming around, you know, we haven't gotten to spring yet, so I understand how all that can affect it. My point is just reaching out to make sure you're in good shape to finish up 601 and finish it up strong. So anything happens that's going to set you back, or you feel like you're not to the point where you need to be to finish up, reach out to me and let me know. Because as long as I understand the situation, as long as you tell me what's going on, I can help you. Dr. Church can help you. We can keep you on track and get you in good shape if you're not already in good shape. Now, here, as we move into task 5 and task stream, this is where the 21 leadership competencies begin to really come into play. The 21 leadership competencies that you hear us talk about are from the North Carolina School Executive Standards, and that's what administrators, principals are evaluated on, just like you're evaluated as a teacher. The principals and administrators are evaluated on these 21 competencies of leadership. So this program is designed to have you engage those leadership competencies and engage some activities that will strengthen that, make you, just kind of make you aware of what those competencies are in relationship to you carrying out some of these activities in the ABSL. You know, how does an administrator, how does a leader communicate? How does the leader facilitate dialogue and inquiry? How does a leader, you know, go through a conflict resolution and make that into having a positive impact in their environment? So there's 21 competencies that that, like I said, that you'll be evaluated on and that we look at in the program. So I'm going to pull up, go back and share this right here. I may have it up. Yeah. So the 21 competencies, if you haven't seen them in the whole yet or haven't looked at them, here they are. I've got them in a little spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet will be a little more important to you later on. It is accessible by you in my templates and resources, and we'll look at where that's at. But here's the 21 competencies: communication, change management, conflict management, creative thinking, customer focus, delegation, dialogue inquiry, emotional intelligence, environmental awareness, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read them all to you because you can look at them on the screen. But these are very important. You will be working with these throughout the program, 601 through 605. And at certain times, each evidence that you will be completing for each semester. 601 is the ABSL, 602 is the APTEL, 603 is the OMA, 604 is the SCIP and the CAP, 605 is the SIOP. So each of those evidences are designed by nature for you to have the opportunity to show your competency in these leadership competencies, to show how effective you are in these different leadership competencies. Some evidences are created and designed to give you more of an opportunity than others. So for communication, there's a really good opportunity for you to show competency in communication in the APTEL, and then later on in the SIOP. And now this will become more important to you in just a little bit, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. Now, we're going to leave this, and now I'm going to go back to the scale handbook. And I want to talk about some of these competencies that you're going to be working in as you wrap up the APSL. Okay, give me a moment to find them. Here we go. There. Okay. So there's 9 competencies that you're going to deal with specifically in task 5. Task 5 is all about reflecting on what you've done this semester in relation to these competencies of leadership. So task 5, as you do that, you look at these 9 specific competencies and you say, okay, what have I done in the APSL? What have I done as I've accumulated my internship hours? And what have I done in class in my course with the content that's helped me develop in this area of leadership and communication and change management and delegation, dialogue and inquiry, judgment, so on and so forth. What have I done in those 3 areas in my activities with 601 that's helped me develop that leadership? And you talk about it. You share that. You share these 9 competencies, and then you pick 4 of your choosing. So that list of 21 that I just showed you, you have to address specifically these 9 competencies, and then you choose 4 more competencies on your own that you feel like through the APSL, through your internship, your clinical experience with the internship hours, through the course conversations that you had, that you've been able to really feel like you've had the chance to engage during 601. So in task 5, you're going to work with these 9 specific, and then you're going to choose 4 more out of that list of 21. Any questions about that? Okay, great. So you find the 9 here. This is the 9 that you have to write about, that you have to talk about, or, you know, when I say talk, I mean write about in your narrative. And then you choose 4 more, and that would be from that list of 21. So let's scroll down in the scale handbook to task 5 rubric. Okay, so to be proficient in this area on task 5, you need to write a reflective analysis of yourself. Now, this is you as a leader. Where am I at? What have I done this semester that shows that I have engaged this competency of communication? You know, I met with my principal, got permission to have a PLC. You know, I communicated to my team about when to meet, where to meet. I established this agenda to set up what we're going to be talking about. I facilitated that conversation. I communicated through different avenues with my PLC team to reach the point that we reached in the APSL. So you talk about that. What did you do in your internship hours? You know, it may be that you reached out to a parent organization. Your principal had you to work with another team of some sort, or your grade level, reaching out and communicating with them. What about in class? What did you learn in class within the content of what a PLC is and what the principalship is that helps you become better, or kind of, if not helped you become better, solidify the skills that you already had in communication? So you write about that. You write about those activities that happen, and you describe them and how you have functioned within those different competencies. That's task 5. Task 5 does not have to be peer reviewed. Once you complete task 5, you don't have to peer review. You can upload it straight into the Blackboard shell for me to review and give feedback on. Any questions there? So altogether, you're going to be talking about 12 competencies, the 9 that's listed up at the top of the scale handbook, and then 4 optional ones that you choose. Now, we're going to talk about competencies a little bit later within task stream. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to move into that. Don't be confused with task 5 reflections and working with the competencies there and how you work with the competencies in task stream. That can create a little bit of confusion. The 12 that you have to do here, that's the 9 that's listed above and the 4 of your choosing. You're also going to be required to work with some of those competencies in task stream, some of the different competencies there, but they're not necessarily the same competencies. All right, so don't just keep it, compartmentalize this in your mind as, okay, I got the competencies, I'm working with them in task 5, and then I'm going to work with them again in the competency folio, and they don't necessarily mesh. So just know that. Any questions on how to complete task 5? All right, groovy. All right, so let's move into, I guess we'll just move on into task stream. Yeah, let's just move on into task stream. Okay. Any questions? So at this point in time, you all should have received, okay, at this point in time, you should be looking at watermark. Everybody see that? Groovy. So this is the door that gets you into task stream. You should have all received notification of your task stream account, username, password. If you haven't done that by now, send me an email and let me know, but you should all be able to get into task stream. So we'll go to sign in, and we'll go down here to task stream, and we will sign into task stream account. Now mine's going to look a little bit different than yours because I have different rights that you do within task stream. So I want you to think of it this way. The Blackboard shell that you work in, where you upload your assignments to Dr. Church and his shell, where you upload the task to me and my shell, and we review and you revise, and then we take a grade on it. The Blackboard is really how you validate to Gardner Webb that you have earned the master's. You will have earned the master's, and you will graduate and get your diploma. All right, so that's Gardner Webb's way, and that Blackboard shell of pulling all that data in, saying, okay, this person satisfied all the requirements in the university to pursue the master's and to get their Gardner Webb diploma. What you do in task stream is it's really the conduit that we use to satisfy the North Carolina Department of Public Construction and South Carolina and any other state that you may be in with the reciprocating agreement on licensure. But that's how we pull in data from you that you've done that shows that this person is ready to be licensed as a school administrator. So the Blackboard is the diploma and the master's degree that you get from Gardner-Webb. TaskStream is the data that shows that you are that the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction is justified in giving you licensure or reciprocating with another state to give license. So when the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction reviews your data to see that you are eligible for licensure in this area, they look within TaskStream. So that's the two boxes that you're playing in. That might not be a good analogy. Yeah, sandbox, that'll work. All right, so that's the two sandbox you're playing in. The sandbox of Blackboard, which gives you your diploma and your master's, and the sandbox of TaskStream, which gives you your licensure. So think about it that way. The good news is in TaskStream, you don't have to recreate anything. You use what you've already done in 601 in your master's program, specifically with the APSL. You just pull it out of that and plug it into here. So and within TaskStream, there's two areas that you're mainly going to work in. And a lot of this terminology, a lot of these acronyms, as you know, you guys are educators, we're acronym to death, but I've never seen an acronym for the word acronym. Just something to think about. All right, so you're going to see different acronyms in TaskStream and different terminology. It's going to be similar to what we've talked about so far, so it can be a little confusing. Just kind of, be ready for that. So let me go down to author. First thing I want to show you, and I'm going to use this example here. This is called the Direct Response Folio, the DRF. Now, this is where I'm getting into similar wordage and acronyms, because you're going to talk about folio several times. You got a folio, you got a portfolio. So this is the Direct Response Folio. And within TaskStream, you'll be working through this for the program. If you'll see here, you got 601 listed, 602, 603, all the way down to 605. And then there's some things that you'll do at the very end of the program. So by the end of the program, you will have worked your way down to this point right here. Now, you do not submit or upload anything in this platform of your internship log until the end of the program. This will become a little more clear to you later, because you'll be tempted to do that, but do not upload anything from your internship log in the DRF until the very end of the program. And that'll, like I said, that'll become clear why I said that here in a little bit. But let's go back to the very beginning, and that's 601. This is where you're at right now. So when you get done with the APSL, you do task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, task 5. You get feedback from me, you get grades of 100 from 1 through 5. And then I tell you at the end of 5, when you upload it, okay, you can put it into one document, the APSL Final Evidence Narrative, and you can upload it into Blackboard Shell. And then when you, at some point in the comment section, I will tell you ready for TaskStream. You don't upload anything into TaskStream. Don't upload your APSL at all until I tell you this is ready for TaskStream. Because if you upload this and you upload the wrong draft, then you're not going to get the proficient, the 3 and the 4 that we look at on the rubric and the scale handbook, and the evaluator is going to send it back to you and tell you to revise it. So that's why I am so, I don't know, obsessive, I guess, about saying, okay, put it in the task for review. Let's revise it, make sure it's in great shape. Now I'm going to collect a grade on it. All right, so let me look at it one more time. I look at your paper several times before I tell you it's time to go to TaskStream, because I don't want that to happen. Once it goes to TaskStream, it is a 3 or a 4, and you won't have to touch it again. And that's why I am so particular about doing those revisions and doing them again and reviewing it again. And that's all to save you some extra time and effort, to make sure that when you put it into TaskStream, and that's the end point, that's the end game of the APSL, is to be loaded up to TaskStream and to get evaluation on, because that's the final evaluation of that document. Now, if for some reason it gets a 2, it has to at least score a 3 or a 4. If it gets a 1 or a 2, the evaluator will send it back to you for feedback, and then we'll have the opportunity to revise it and send it back to them. But we don't want to do that. We want it to be right the first time, because that's all happens at the end of the semester, and you're scrambling around trying to move from 601 to 602. You don't want to have to go back and revise this again. So that's why I'm really adamant about that process that we use in Blackboard to make sure it's right before we upload it to TaskStream. But anyway, after you upload the APSL final evidence narrative, and I'll give you directions on all that in the comment section as we grade and we give revisions in Blackboard. But I will tell you, ready for TaskStream. You then take the APSL and you upload it right here. You click on it, you click on that button, and it'll give you a place to upload it and submit it to TaskStream for evaluation. And then maybe the sooner you do that, the quicker you'll hear back. If it's towards the end of the semester, the evaluators are evaluating everybody, not just 601, but evidences 601 all the way to 605. And it's a little backlog there at the end of the semester, so it may take a while. But usually it's anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, you'll hear back and you'll be evaluated. If you don't hear back in 48 hours, let me know. So I don't know who your evaluator is. They keep all that anonymous, but I can reach out to Dr. Lamb and we can find out where it's at in the process. Any questions on when and where to upload your APSL at TaskStream? This is called the Direct Response Folio or the DRF. You will hear Dr. Lamb refer to the DRF. You'll hear me refer to the DRF. You'll hear maybe your course instructors refer to the DRF. When they say DRF, they're talking about this right here, the Direct Response Folio. Now, if you'll notice under 601, there's two other items here. It's called a competency analysis and a School of Ed dispositions. We will get into this more during our next session, but basically just for now, know that these are self-assessments. There's not any more work for you to do. They take about maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to complete. It's just you assessing yourself on competencies and School of Ed dispositions. You won't do that till the end of the semester because there's no sense in assessing yourself right now because you haven't gone through the program. This is towards the end of the program when you finish the APSL, you've had a chance to engage in those competencies that the APSL is correlated to, and then you can better assess yourself on where you're at in those areas towards the end of the semester. We'll talk about those a little bit later on. We're not going to talk about them right now. This, like I said, this is just an overview. Now, the other thing that I want to show you in TaskStream is what's called the Competency Folio. So those are the two areas within TaskStream. You have the DRF, the Direct Response Folio, and then your Competency Folio. And that's what we're getting ready to talk about right now. The DRF is here. You will access your Competency Folio or Portfolio by clicking on Folio and Web Pages up here in the banner. This, your Competency Portfolio, or you may hear it referred to as your Competency Folio. This is your electronic portfolio that shows what you've produced in your through your evidences. In this case, the APSL. Remember, I talked to you a little bit about collecting those artifacts, the agendas, minutes from the meeting, video clip of you conducted the meeting, picture of you taking the meeting, all those artifacts, all that stuff that's created by you going through the APSL. This is why we had told you to save them and put them in the appendix, because now you pull them out and you use them here. It's like I told you before, this is what models do, this is what painters do, this is what craftsmen and artisans do, is they create a portfolio of what they've done. I can sit here all day long and tell you that I am a great woodworker, that I know how to do box joints and dovetail joints, and I can create you a beautiful jewelry box, and you give me $500 and I'll take some mahogany and I'll make you a jewelry box like you've never seen. Well, that's all talk. You don't know how good I am or that I actually possess the skills that I say I possess until you see a product that I've created or an artifact of my work. And so that's why, models have pictures of themselves in different places, that shows that they're a good model. Artists have different paintings, a portfolio of snapshots of all their paintings that show that their skill as an artist or their skill as a model or their skill as a woodworker. Well, this is your electronic portfolio that shows that you have skill in being a school leader. You've told us how great you are in your narrative, in your evidence in the APSL. You told us all about what the great things that you've done. here in the Competency Folio is where you show those artifacts that were created due to your leadership. So we're going to click on Folios and Web Pages. Now, this isn't set in here for you. You actually have to ignore that. Okay. You actually have to create your own competency portfolio. It's an easy process. Doesn't take very long. I've really done 2 samples here. This is the one that I've created back in 2019 when we first started doing the Competency Folio, and this is one that I kind of created last year for a group. And I'll get into that a little bit, but for you to create your own, you click on Create New. Now, good thing about that is, and I'm going to slide over to my Blackboard shell. Are you seeing my Blackboard shell now? Okay, great. Sometimes Zoom, I don't know, sometimes you have to reshare. If you'll click into Video Library, that's where I put all the recordings of all of our clinical coach sessions. You will see this, setting up your Competency Folio. See, I call it a Competency Portfolio. Here it's referred to as a Competency Folio, so that's why I was telling you. This is a 2-minute video that Dr. Lamb did that shows you how to set up your Competency Folio. Now, you can do this at any time. You don't have to wait till you finish the app. So this is just setting it up. So you click on this, and we should be going to a YouTube. And of course, there's going to be an ad coming up. Are you seeing the YouTube ad? Yep. Okay. Don't you just love the way advertisements were bombarded with that on a daily basis? All right. So we could listen to a little Meatloaf, but that's beside the point. Okay, here we go. So this is Dr. Lamb's video on how to create your Competency Folio. It's like I said 2 minutes, actually 4 minutes. Sorry about that. It's a 4-minute, and he tells you how to set it up. Okay, so you watch that on your own. Great little video. It shows you how to set that up, and that's what you will be doing. And I'm going back to Task Stream. Remember, it is in my video library. It's at the very top. As you go through that and you create your Competency Folio, if you want to see a sample of one, I have put one of those here for you. I'm sorry. Under Templates and Resources, at the very bottom, you'll see this, a Competency Folio Exemplar. And that takes you straight to one that Anara Henderson did. She's a former candidate, been back, you can see back in 2018. But this is just a really good example of what your Competency Folio can look like, because at the end of the day, this is your web page. You're actually creating a web page that highlights the evidence that you're a leader in the 21 leadership competencies. If you'll notice, the 21 leadership competencies are listed right here. And this is your portfolio that shows what you've done within each of those competencies. You take this with you after the program. After you graduate, you keep this. So if you're getting ready to do an interview as an assistant principal or a central office position or a principal, you can actually send this to the interview team and show them what you've done. All right, I'm gonna pause. Any questions? I didn't think so, but I wanted another drink of coffee, so that was a good excuse for me to do that. Anytime I say any questions, you got questions, ask them. But it's also for me to get a cup of coffee, but don't tell anybody. All right, here we go. So there's a good exemplar. You can find that exemplar under my templates and resources at the very bottom. All right. So let's go back to Task Stream. So you clicked Create New, you watched Dr. Lamb's video, you created your Competency Folio, and now you're ready to work in it. And all this is just pulling those artifacts and putting them in the appropriate place. And how do you know where the appropriate place is? Well, once again, if you look here, and we're going to go over all this again, we're going to review it all again. The 21 competencies are listed right here. You're going to work in this throughout the whole program, 601 and 605. Each competency, the requirement for licensure and from the university is that each competency, and we'll click on communication because it's the first one, each competencies you are to upload 3 artifacts. One from the ABSL, and just a communication. They're all a little bit different. In communication, you upload 3 artifacts. It says evidences. Don't let that trip you up. It's artifact evidences actually, but it's evidence of leadership of communication within the competency of communication. 1 from the APSL, 1 from the PSYOP, and 1 open-ended. Open-ended is like a wild card. That can be anything that you do. If you actually do something during this semester that really didn't have anything to do with the APSL, but it's still a really great example. Maybe it was during your internship hours, still a really great example of you communicating, then go ahead and upload it here. That can be your wild card. That can be your open-ended. That's free to put in whatever you want to that not necessarily had anything to do with APSL or PSYOPs in 605. But you upload those right here. And if communication, if it is an example, a screenshot of you emailing your team saying, hey, we're getting ready to have our first PLC meeting. These are the things that we're going to talk about. This is how I want you to come prepared to the meeting. If you do a screenshot of that and put it in here, that's your artifact. That's your artifact. You can pull it from the appendix of your app. So that's what I'm saying. You're not creating anything new. You're taking the information you got and you're putting it in a new place. You don't necessarily have to write a description. I recommend that maybe if it's something that's really not obvious as to what it is, if it's just a picture of you talking to a team, you might want to put in the description. You might want to put a little description in there that says, PLC, first PLC meeting, going over the agenda or something like that. But you have the opportunity to upload text, slideshow, create text boxes, if you will, just upload it as an attachment, embed. You can do this. This is yours to make whatever you want to. Remember the exemplar I showed you? This is you to design it however you want to. One thing that I'll talk about several times is that when you do upload an artifact, make sure that you put what evidence that it is from, either within the description, which is only 1 or 2 sentences. It doesn't have to be anything formal or long, just 1 or 2 sentences, or even just a title of what it is fine. This is not about the narrative. The APSL is about the narrative. The Competency Folio is about the artifacts. This is where you show what you did. But make sure that you title it, APSL artifact, because it's okay if you're starting off the program, then everything you put in, I know where it's from. But your next clinical coach, if it's not me, you put 2 or 3 artifacts in here and you don't entitle them as to what they are, the clinical coach is going to be confused as to what evidence that you are presenting, what artifact from what evidence you're presenting. So you put 2 or 3 in there, well, which one's from the APSL, which one's open-ended, which one's from the PSYOP. So just make sure that you entitle them so your person reviewing this will know what it is, and your clinical coach is the person that reviews this before it's sent off for licensure, and that's at the end of the program. Any questions? All right, I'm going to go over just a little bit more, and then we're going to leave it alone tonight and save the last few minutes for any Q&A. As I said before, each artifact is a little different. I think the first 4 is all the same. Communication, it will tell you within the title here of what evidences. Communication, you need to upload 3 evidences, 1 from the APSL, 1 from the PSYOP, and 1 can be anything that you need it to be that's relevant. Change management, it looks the same. Conflict management, okay, it's a little bit different. Conflict management, 3 evidences, 1 from the APSL, 1 from the APTL, and 1 from open-ended. And so as you progress through the program, you're going to be required to upload artifacts from different evidences that you do within the program. This is from the APTL from 602. Now you could go through here and say, okay, I'm going to go through each of these and okay, everyone that has the APSL, I'm going to upload an artifact. Okay. All right, that doesn't have anything to do with the APSL, so I don't have to upload anything from Dialogue and Inquiry. But one of the things that one of my candidates did that gave me permission to share with everybody is a great little resource that we've already looked at. Well, I didn't mean to do that. And that is this document right here. That's not it. This is all the competencies listed, and in the Competency Folio record sheet, it tells you what competencies are correlated to what evidence. So for communication, somebody has gone through and listed all that for you. So with each competency, artifact 1, 2, and 3, and where they should come from. And great thing about this is you can, as you go through the program, okay, I've done that one. And you can click on them and color them. You can use this spreadsheet any way you want to. But this will help you keep up. So you go through here and let's just do this. Okay, which ones can I upload artifacts from the APSL? Well, here they're listed for you. So as you finish up the APSL and you upload it into the DRF, then you come over and start working your competency folio. This will help you quickly identify what competencies are correlated to the APSL where you can upload artifacts. All right, now there's more to TaskStream, but that's all that we're going to talk about. Let me show you where this is at though. However, you can find that document in my Blackboard shell under templates and resources, right under the exemplar of the competency folio. That's that artifact tracking sheet right there. That's where you can get that. You pull it out of there. All right, so get it back in the TaskStream. There's some things that we still need to talk about. Digital learning competencies, the internship log. As I said, this is where you upload the internship log for each semester. In the DRF at the very bottom, do not upload any internship log into the DRF until the end of the program. We'll go over this again. We'll kind of pick up where we left off, and I'll give you some more specifics about all this. But and then once you upload everything, how do you get feedback on it? How do you get credit for it? We'll talk about all of that when we meet again. The main thing you need to do now, priority 1, is you finish the APSL tasks 1 through 5 and the APSL final evidence narrative. All right, that's priority 1. Is you do the review process and then you upload each individual task for a grade, and after task 5, I will tell you to combine them into one document if you haven't already done so. That's one title page, one school profile, task 1 through 5, all in sequential order, your one reference page and one appendix with any artifacts. Upload and combine that into one document and upload it as the final evidence narrative. I will review that. I'll tell you to upload it into Dropbox. You'll get a grade. When I give you the grade on the final evidence narrative, I'll say ready for TaskStream, and that's when you upload it to TaskStream. But priority 1 for you right now is to finish the APSL, because you can't do anything else until you complete the APSL. All right. And within, you know, as you approach that, the other thing that you could do if you wanted to for a break or maybe do something is to go into TaskStream, click on Folio and Web Pages, and you could go ahead and create your competency folio if you want to. That's not a priority. Finish the APSL, and then you can do all this other stuff. That's the priority. But some candidates like to go ahead and begin to work on their competency folio because they can adjust it, change the color scheme, change the theme, kind of make it look really nice and get it ready for when you upload artifacts. Some are at a good point and where they can upload artifacts as they go along. That's up to you. I'm not telling you to do that. What I want you to do is finish that APSL task 1 through 5 first, and then just know that this is setting out here, and we will go over it again when we meet again. And let's see, when am I meeting with you guys again? March the 24th. March the 24th. You've got a good time frame here. Today's the 24th. Week 8. I don't know what Dr. Church is doing. I don't have anything scheduled, and I did bring this up for a specific point. But then you got spring break, the 7th through the 11th. That'll give you a good thing to catch up and get all the APSL tasks 1 through 5 and the final evidence done. So when we come back, I will review TaskStream and we'll go into more specific, because then you'll start uploading artifacts into TaskStream and working within TaskStream more. But until then, if you need an individual Zoom session or a small group session, small group Zoom, email me and we'll set it up. Next week will be great for me, like I said, because I don't have any cohorts that I'm working with next week. and I have the advantage of taking my lunch break whenever I want to. So if it's during the day and you got an optional teacher work day or something and you want to Zoom in, just let me know ahead of time. I'll schedule my lunch because I work at my desk anyway during lunch. I'll schedule my lunch and we can even do a Zoom during the day. And I can be pretty flexible on when I do that because, like I said, I take my lunch break whenever I want. All right, so that's all. I know that's a lot, but we've come to the point in time where we need to talk about task stream, and we need to make sure that you know more about what that's about, and you get a little more overview of what that, so you'll know what's coming your way. Any questions about anything that I've talked about tonight?
I have one, sorry. I always have
problem.
questions. So if I do something with my APSL and I don't end up using it as an evidence in the actual paper that I do, can I still use it in that DRF? Like if it comes from the app. So like if it's an agenda and I don't end up using it, but I think, hey, I could use it here. Can I still upload that? Or does it have to be directly linked?
That's a great question. Yeah, because it's still an artifact. Now you wouldn't upload it to the DRF, and that's what I'm saying. It gets confusing with all these acronyms. Yes. The DRF is where you upload the APSL document. Folio. There you go. Good job, Jennifer. Where you upload the artifact would be the Competency Folio. But yes, you can. It doesn't have to be in your narrative, but it was something that was created during 601. That's a good example of that leadership competency. Then yes, absolutely you can use it. Absolutely you can use it.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
You may have 2 or 3 agendas, and you might want to highlight the first one, but you don't highlight any of the others. But it's still an agenda from a PLC meeting in regards to what you did. Absolutely, you can upload it. Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, if it's an artifact that was created through your activities in association with the university and getting your school administrative degree, yes, you can use it. Any other questions? Okay, all right. Well, feel free to reach out to me, email me. I'm seeing some good progress on what's being turned in so far, seeing some good work. If ever I give you some feedback that doesn't quite mesh with what you meant for your document to look like, or I didn't make myself clear and you don't understand exactly what I'm saying, feel free to reach out to me and we can clear it up and make sure that you understand the feedback that I'm giving you and that it's helpful. If I give you feedback that's not helpful, then I haven't done my job. And my job is to make sure that you're assisted in your help. So, just like tonight, if I get in my mind at the very beginning of the session that you're talking about one thing and you're talking about something else, it's okay. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Say, hey, slow down, Jack. This is what I need some help with. Not going to hurt my feelings at all. My job's here to help you guys and make sure you go through this program successful. Feel free to reach out to me if you need anything. I hope and pray that you all stay safe and healthy. Thank you for the hard work that you're putting in. It is worth it, and it will get easier. I'll talk a little bit more about that if you'll remind me next time about how it will be easier next semester. You're still still getting used to the process and the routine, but I promise there won't be as much to do next semester as what you're doing this semester. It is worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. You guys stay safe and healthy. Thanks for everything that you're doing, and I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you being involved in this, and I really enjoy working with you. So let me know if I can help you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.